The story goes like this. The soul god of Fernhelion and the lunar god of Lacus Mare rallied together to tame the 6 wild gods, each taking 3 under their wing and turning our world of chaos into one of peace. That's probably the story you've heard, right? It's all, well, you know by now that it's not true. They wanted to control the world in its entirety, just the 2 of them. They didn't have the power to destroy the other gods, though, or to steal their powers, so they sealed them away. The final of the sealed gods was Ash Rosengall, the god of transformation. Here's a question for you. How do you seal away or capture a being who is the essence of fluidity? One who can transform themselves at will, whose element is the wind itself. One who has witnessed the sealing of the previous 5 wild gods, who knows their fate already? It's a trick question. You don't. Not forever, at least. One version of the story says casting them into a murky, dead swamp to get weighed down and drowned was the gods' attempt. Another version of the story says they jumped from the gods' realm willingly and landed in the swamp by circumstance. Regardless, Ash's one fault was their inexperience. They were the youngest god and didn't quite have a handle on their power yet, or the scope of it. What the gods didn't count on was human curiosity. That the desperate flapping of wings against water, the crow's screams, and the glow of golden eyes would attract attention, and that anyone would be willing to cut past the thorns and brave the nearly toxic water to reach the little god. That anyone would recognize them as a god rather than some sort of monster. And because of this discovery, soon enough, the soul and lunar gods will learn not to underestimate mortals. Okay, actual art commentary. The vibes I wanted this picture to have is like that sad cat meme, the one that just has the severely infected looking watery eyes, just an absolute soggy little baby. I knew I wanted their element to be air, but I was thinking on how to portray that. The other gods, this is a series by the way, watching all those will make this one make way more sense. They're all in a playlist. They all have more like solid humanoid elemental forms, but for this one I wanted them to look like a mess a little bit, like an amorphous blob of wings, because at this point they didn't have much control of their powers at all. Their elemental form is also kind of based on a seraphim, not for any particular reason, just because I think the aesthetic of it looks cool. As for the character themselves, they're an interesting one. They're the god that's most involved in the main story and like arguably the most important. Transformation sounds like a vague thing to be a god over, but basically it's exactly what it sounds like. Like for example, if you do metalwork and turn raw materials into a sword, that's a transformation process, and you would probably have Ash as one of your patron gods. You would probably also have another god too in this case, like the god of science, art, or farming if you're like a baker turning wheat into bread or something. People in this world usually do have more than one god too, like if you live in Fernhelion, your god is the soul god, then whichever others, and it's fine to ask gods that aren't yours, like your main god, for help with specific things. Oh, also if you like trans your gender, Ash is your god. That's one thing I like in fantasy, you can just have trans people and be like, oh yeah, there's magic involved to make things smoother, and there's a god of it, so it's like widely accepted and normalized in this world. I'm non-binary myself, so I'm making the content I want to see. Ash is non-binary, I use they them for them. You can also ask them for help if you want to like better yourself and make a transformation, so to speak. This is the last speed paint in the Eclipsis God series, for now anyway. I haven't shown the soul or lunar gods elemental forms, but I'm gonna hold off on that for a bit, so they're not getting a speed paint right now. But the soul god's element is fire and the lunar god's is ice. Up next will be the main characters' designs, then a video about the magic system. So if any of this sounds interesting, feel free to check those out. They'll be up probably next week. This is all for my upcoming NaNoWriMo story, which will be free to read as the chapters publish online in November. Anyway, that's about all I have to say about this one. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the rest of this video.